They want to know, like, what's the best way of going out about distance learning, what's the best way of being able to contact folks, and, specifically in OUSD.
Mm-hmm.
And then even like down to folks trying to decide whether or not, because we got a few parents who are talking about whether or not they want to do independent studies. And so the thing about independent studies is that it's a very good thing to do, specifically if you want to be networking with your families or whatnot. However, you do have like things that you're liable to deliver to the state. And so if you don't have the time to be able to stay in constant lockstep with all the assessments and all the deadlines and whatnot, your child could end up becoming behind. So it really is a lot more self-motivated to do that. I think a lot of folks are, or there's a segment of the population that's talking about it because, they're not really too sure about what the districts are doing or what the schools are doing. So whether it be like a private school or a charter school, those are a little bit more, I think people have a little bit more faith in those as a whole, but like in terms of the public school, I do want to restore faith in the fact that there are some good folks out here who are doing the good work in the public education sector. So,
well,
I
tell you what, since you already know, you already got a pulse of the people. I guess we can, since that's a hot topic right now, I guess we can talk about, distance learning. You know what I'm saying? So in a perfect world, based on, weeks of the month, like, do you think we could cover that in four topics? You know what I'm saying? Like if you was to try to break it down in four different segments, you know what I'm saying? Kind of like just put a bullet point, you know what I'm saying? Four points to discuss that. You think that's possible?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, just to kind of give some context. So I've been engaging with my families for the past month now. Even though this is the first week we started back to school, I've been speaking with them every single week, every Friday at 9 o'clock, a Zoom meeting, and we go over like a PowerPoint presentation. And the first thing we started with was, why we're actually not coming back to school. So like the entire public health, Alameda County Department of Public Health, why they're saying that we shouldn't be going back to school, and the fact that, you need to have your personal protective equipment. What that actually looks like in terms of the phases. Phase 1 being full distance learning, phase 2, hopefully starting September 4th, which should be a hybrid of distance learning and children and staff members coming back to work at a part-time basis. And then phase 3 being bringing it all the way back where all students and all staff are coming back to campus. So right now we're still in phase 1. The problem is that the MOU, which is the Memorandum of Understanding for Teachers, was not ratified at the start of school. So there were a group of teachers who developed what are called Strong Start Plans, at least in Oakland Unified School District, which means that the first week and 2 weeks, we are going to be spending time, the teachers are going to be spending time contacting families, making sure that there are virtual home visits, making sure that they're doing wellness checks with students, which is very similar to what they did at the end of last year when this whole crisis started happening. And a lot of people call it crisis learning. And we're trying to get out of that nuanced feeling of crisis learning, because the fact that we know that we want our students to be able to succeed, but in order to make sure they succeed, we have to know that they're doing well at home. Yeah. So the first 2 weeks are really just setting up the operational systems around the Zoom meetings, using other platforms like Google Classroom or Seesaw, which are learning platforms where you can actually add the work to those platforms for students to be able to use. Right now, we're only looking at a synchronous school schedule of only 30 minutes a day at this point, which is only from 8:30 to 9. And then for the rest of the day, parents check in with teachers and students work on those particular Zoom meetings and whatnot, or excuse me, in the Google Classroom or Seesaw. Second week, we're going to continue with the same thing. So that's next week. Third week is going to be assessment week. So we're actually using a different platform than what we've used in the past. In the past, we've used something called FNP, Espontis and Pinnell, which is a reading inventory where students get a chance to read for their comprehension and for their fluency. But the thing is that a teacher has to actually sit down with the student and read with them one-to-one, check their mistakes, and then they develop a reading level based upon the mistakes that they make. And then they have an instructional reading level, and then they have an independent reading level. With this new program that we're using that the district has adopted called iReady, it's actually more governed by the student, where families are going to be, the onus is going to be on them to make sure that they're not giving their children the answers. They're just really letting them struggle.
Yeah.
So if I was going to give any advice to families, is that when these assessments do start coming out, a lot of our innate feelings as parents is that we want to see our children thrive, and so we want to help them. But actually, that does it a disservice to our families if we try to help them in that nature, where we try to give them the answer, let them struggle, see where they actually lie independently, so that we can create goals that will help them to meet them. Because we know as adults, when we set goals for ourselves, that's what kind of keeps us on path, and so that's what we want to do for our children. I think that there is a little bit of fear moving forward, because there's a lot of words around what's going to actually happen, because there's certain districts that have actually opted out for the entire school year. I have a sister-in-law who works in Sacramento at a establishment called Natomas, and they actually have opted out for the entire year. So they're not going back to school for this entire calendar school year, or excuse me, for the entire school year. Everything is going to be full distance learning, but their demographics of students are a little bit different, so they could actually do that. For us, we're actually just moving with what the county is saying. So San Francisco, they're a little bit different as well. West Contra Costa County, they're a little bit different, but you can see that folks are opting out of the in-person instruction anywhere from 4 weeks to 8 weeks to the entire fall season, to the entire school year. So it really depends upon what school system you're in. But as an educator, as a principal, I will say that this COVID is real. People really need to be aware of the fact that we want to cover our faces. We want to wash our hands. I've had family members, close friends that have passed due to this virus. So it's not a game to be playing with. It's not something that we can, just brush to the side.
Yeah. Well, sorry to hear that, bro. Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, man.
So as far as because that's a lot of information. So and that's got me off of what you just said right then and there. That could, that's good for the first two to four articles. You know what I'm saying? Because what I want to do is you see how you mentioned you just hit everything. I didn't have to say nothing. I like how you brought in different websites where people can go get information. So that's exactly what I want to do. So pretty much when I structure the article, when I write it all out, I would put that last. You know what I'm saying? And be like, boom, hit these websites, for further learning for your child. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So when I pretty much got to structure it the right way. But as far as what you just said, that's exactly every time I call, every time we do the interview, just like that. You know what I'm saying?
So, I'll say one more thing too.
Yeah.
One of the biggest concerns that I would say the American Pediatrics has had over this situation is, how are students going to be able to really engage in a social environment, because the social emotional learning is just as important, if not more important, than the academic part, mm-hmm. right? Because as we're growing as humans, we go through our psychosocial stages of development. So they've really been pushing us to be able to come back. And of course, we already see where it is. One thing that parents can do is, at least if you're in Oakland, you can go to the Oakland Unified School District website, or you can come directly to my website, which is fruitvaleSchool.org, and you can take the tech survey. There was a $1 million grant that was given to Oakland around tech support. Mm-hmm. And so what each school is doing is we're actually lending out our Chromebooks, because those are the devices that we use for any kind of distance learning, because a lot of our families, actually more than 60% of families that were polled over the summertime, actually do not have access to a device. That doesn't mean they don't have internet service. That just means they don't have access to a device. Yeah. So we've loaned out those devices. We're actually almost completely loaned out our entire devices. But when they complete that tech survey, what ends up happening is they get a call back from Oakland Promise, which is another organization that will actually send out these Chromebooks and also these hotspots to families that need them. So and those will be theirs to keep. So that's the beauty of it. So if you are in Oakland and you're thinking about whether or not I should actually send my student to school, or should I keep them home for homeschool, we will not be allowed to actually provide Chromebooks if you're not enrolled or registered in an OUSD school. So that's kind of the incentive. And then, like I said, you get a free computer. Right now, we're lending out hotspots that are from T-Mobile. They're not as strong as the ones that we're going to be given permanently for families, but they're good enough right now to be able to get on and do the work that you need to do for the time being. So, go to ousd.org, or you can come directly to my school. We're still accepting applications, still accepting registration. I'm Principal Stovall, and I'm here to serve my people. I've been born and raised in Oakland my entire life, and I'm here to serve you. So just come to my website, come to Oakland, and we'll make sure we get your children educated. That's what we're here for.
Love that, man. Hey, I'll speak for everybody. Like, we need that, though. You know what I'm saying? I wish other, teachers and principals was passionate as you. You know what I'm saying? Like, facts. That's all dope, info, bro. Like I said, all I gotta do is just edit it. You know what I'm saying? As far as writing it out, and then as far as me posting the video, that's easy. Just gotta cut, chop. You know what I'm saying? But that's that. What this didn't even take 17 minutes. You know what I'm saying? Like, but we got enough footage to last us easily a month. Like, seriously. So
absolutely,
it's huge.
Just let me know, man. Let me know, because anything that I get, I love to speak to the people about what's actually happening. I of course I keep the political aspect out of everything. If you want to talk politics too, we can. But I'm just right now. I know that a lot of families are worried about what's in store for my children. Even for English language learners, we have a lot of students that are newcomers who don't speak the language of English as their target language, and we do have some different services that we're going to be utilizing over the course of the year. For example, Imagine Learning is one that you can go to if you don't speak English as a first language, and also Brain Pop. Those are really two good online programs that can be utilized for English language learner instruction, and that's the course for English. And for math, we're going to be using a curriculum called Swan Math, which is going to be brand new this year. We used to adopt the old OUSD curriculum, but because, of course, we're moving into distance learning, we need something that's going to be online. So I'm actually going to be diving into that early next week. But ST Math is something that's really popular for the kids, something that they can utilize at their own instructional levels, very similar to ELA, where they're going to be learning their math skills at their grade level. And it's just a series of activities. It's not as nuanced as, like, let's say, iReady or some of these other curriculums I'm talking about. It's more a supplemental material, but it's something that definitely will keep your children motivated and keep their math facts sharp, because we do need engineers, we need scientists, we need doctors out here. And we know that we are just right across the way from San Francisco, where we have a lot of .com businesses. And in order to get those positions that are very, very lucrative, and are also very, they'll last you a lifetime, very similar to the way factory jobs used to be back in the 40s and 50s when the Great Migration, when Black folks came over from Atlanta and from the South over to California. You need a math degree. You need science background. So we need more people of color in those particular jobs. And so math is extremely important. So definitely help your children with those math facts. So those are some things also that'll help.
So I guess I can't wait to go over this video again and write all this out, like, for real. Like, for real. I guess the next thing what you could do is, I made this list. This is for me because I'm doing an article, about being a parent, being a single parent. I'm pretty sure a lot of people would identify with that article. So what I did was I wrote down like a topic, and then I broke it down into different subjects. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if you can see it. So I got enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got enough for a whole year, like for 52 weeks. You know what I'm saying? So what you can do, you know what I'm saying, is you don't have to do a whole year, but you know, that's just where my brain be going. So like try to, you know, get at least a month. Like I said, you know, pick a main topic and then just break it down into like 4 main subjects. So then we'll cover that topic in 1 month. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I can already give you what I mean, because that's all I've been doing is planning for like the last month, bro. So I already got you on that one.
Yeah. So
The first thing we're working on at Fruitvale, we have these things, and every school has them. They're called cycles of inquiry. So cycles of questions that we're asking ourselves around our data. How can we support our data? One thing about our school is when I came into Fruitvale, we were at 6% proficiency for reading. That means that there were only 6% of students that could read at grade level, which is abysmal, right? That's not a very good number.
nah.
Over the time since I've been there, we've actually increased it to about 30%.
Yeah.
We had the highest growth of African-American students in the entire district, whether it be middle school, elementary school, or high school, in the standardized testing. This past year, we didn't get a chance to complete the state testing, of course, because COVID struck, and then we were in this crisis learning. But our first cycle of inquiry is going to be called academic conversation. So everything first and foremost is through your word of mouth, right? So if students can speak about it, if they can entice each other to be able to have these conversations with using academic vocabulary, using content vocabulary, using questions, depth of knowledge questions, ranging from recalling information, which is very, very, for lack of a better word, elementary, all the way to synthesizing things and creating things on your own. We're really going to be focusing on that. So that's the first trimester. That's all the way from a week from now. We're going to be starting that all the way till November, when the first marking period ends. So that's what we're going to be focusing on. So a lot of when I come back and I talk to parents and parents who are seeing this, I'll be giving a lot of examples on how you can incite conversation with your children, because that first and foremost, when you talk with your children, make them smarter. And just because you're talking with them about anything, it doesn't matter what you're talking about. You can be talking basketball games, you can talk about Damian Lillard going off, you can talk about, you know, the election that's coming up between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. You could be talking about, it doesn't matter, whatever the conversation is. If you ask the right questions, if you have the right content, if you have the right academia, that makes your child much more apt to want to present and communicate with their peers and with their teachers.
So this is